Now, still just before sunset, and as you can probably guess, it's very wet. But tonight we are expecting a full lunar eclipse here where I live. Weather report says we should be clear right about as it starts to happen. So I've tried to cover lunar eclipses before, but had a few equipment failures, I guess. Probably trying to overshoot my mark, I guess. So since the last lunar eclipse here, I've bought this Celestron C8, which is the Next Star Evolution 8, which is a 203mm aperture f10 Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. And tonight I've got it hooked up, just prime focus, so my A7R directly in the bottom. It's probably going to vignette at the corners a little bit, but so long as I can get the full lunar disc in there, I'm going to be happy enough. And on my Ioptron behind me here is, I've got my little GX85, my micro four thirds camera that I'm using at the moment, and had to come up with a bit of an inventive counterweight setup for that one, so I don't have an extension bar for the Ioptron at the moment, so I just need a little bit of extra weight to get that thing to balance. So anyway, probably only got about 15 minutes until the lunar eclipse is due to start. So I'm going to try and get these things into a position where I can shoot from, and I'll need to, I can just do an alignment with the moon with the Evolution 8 alignment's very easy. Obviously you get field rotation being an alt azimuth mount, but I'm typically using that for planetary and lunar solar system style photography. So generally taking high frame rate, short periods of time, but tonight's going to be a little bit different because I'm hoping I can sort of get a good transition from, it's probably going to have to be the transition out of the lunar eclipse, but want to getting a good transition of showing the difference in luminance on the moon, which is, from last experience, was just crazy. It's enormously impressive to be able to look up in the sky and see a full moon there, just a very dull with a full star field around it. It's quite surreal. So hopefully we get similar viewing conditions this time around, and hopefully I'm a little bit more lucky with my my shooting setup. So tonight I'm just going to have these two, and I'll probably have my A7S III here recording now with a Sigma 100 to 400mm lens, just doing some time-lapse stuff. So hopefully on the other side of this, I've got a couple of good time-lapse sequences and a couple of good photos to show you. moon is just coming out of eclipse now. True to form for my level of planning that seems to plague me. As soon as I finished that intro clip, I rechecked stellarium just to check the arc of the moon, and it was going to be pretty close to some obstructions. So I immediately got in the car and just took my lighter gear. So I took the GX85 with a Celestron C90 scope on my Ioptron here, and my A7S III with a 100 to 400 millimeter lens, and went to some higher ground to get a view. Yeah, it would well and truly started by the time I got to a location where I could see, and then the clouds that were not meant to be here rolled in, and they've only just sort of cleared now, and I'd say, yeah, we're probably already halfway done with the moon emerging back out of its eclipse. But on the good side of things, I've got two cameras going, so now I've swapped over. I've got an A7R on my Celestron Evolution 8, which is a 2000 millimeter scope with a 200 millimeter aperture, or just thereabouts, and I'm using my light setup is my GX85 again with a 75 to 300 millimeter lens, which will just give me a different aspect ratio, or a different aspect rather than field of view than what I have been using so far tonight. And the other thing that I didn't mention on the intro was with the GX85, I'm using a phone-based intervalometer, and what it allows me to do is fairly easily set up a bracketing sequence. So I'm really hoping they come out, so sort of yeah, exposing for highlights, midtones, and then yeah, for the shadows as much as I can. So there'll be a 3-stop bracket there. But anyway, I hope you can excuse the attire at the moment. It's getting late, but also the mosquitoes here at the moment are just ridiculous. So I absolutely got feasted on before. So I am covered in repellent, and I've gone for some heavier clothes because I was getting bitten through my shirt. So anyway, we're just going to cruise on in here now and watch through to the end of this lunar eclipse, and hopefully we get some great images out of it. As always, feel free to comment any questions. I will absolutely do my best to get back to you. Once again, thanks for watching.